I picked up this RAM not too long ago. It's Timetec, which I've been seeing on Amazon quite a bit here in Canada from time to time. People have been giving it good reviews. It looks like they use good chips on everything. I actually picked up 4 sticks of it, so 2 of them are in another system. It was such a good deal that I decided to pick up all 4 because I know that I'm going to be using these soon and putting them in my system here on the right. So anyways, the point of this video is not that, it is this here. They reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to review NVMe SSD. And because I do have experience with their RAM, you know, that gave me a lot of confidence. And I've been seeing a lot of good reviews of these guys online, on Amazon specifically, and even, you know, Reddit and that kind of thing. It's not like they're just some random brand. I mean, they're not going to be the primary OEM gigantic brands like SK Hynix and that who actually make the chips themselves. But it looks like they use all really good high quality chips on their stuff. So this is their NVMe that they decided to send over. So you can obviously use it in a PS5 based on the speeds and that, but I'm going to be putting it into my desktop over here, test it out. I have an exposed slot that I'm going to put it in, test the temperatures in there. And then I'm also going to supply it with a heatsink, for example, if it needs it. It may not even need it, but I have various heat sinks as well. Typically a motherboard comes with, you know, heat sinks on the motherboard. This is a cheaper motherboard, so it doesn't have the heat sinks there. So yeah, let's open that up there. So it comes with a nice little heat sink there. Let's get some better lighting here. So you can see there, you get a nice little heat sink on it. It's the sliding type without the screws. That's nice. MS46. Very good. And it looks nice. So yeah, I guess we'll just put it in the machine and test it out. Get some speeds off of it, some temperatures and that. And we'll do a quick test. This is the test bench, just so you know what I'm actually testing. This is the test bench here, so you know what I'm testing it in. It's it doesn't have through flow air like that. It actually brings the air in here and then evacuates it out the back there. So I suspect it will have pretty good airflow, all things considered, but that heatsink should get the job done here. In theory, it'll get the job done in a system like this. You can see I actually have an exposed, maybe you can see, I have an exposed SSD in there. You can't see it on camera. There it is. And it does okay. It does get a little warm from time to time. It's also a 2242. It's just, this is a little test system. So this thing I'm expecting to do pretty well. So let's throw this in the system there and we'll get some numbers off of it. Okay, and here we have the drive in, if you can see it there. It actually looks really nice and it matches this motherboard perfectly. It's got those white lines on it with the black kind of accents. It's a perfect match for this motherboard. Really nice, actually. So that's a fluke and a really nice one. So we'll just cover that up there and you can still see it in there. So I'm just going to close the system up here because I want to emulate proper airflow. Okay, here we are running the tests, at least starting the test. We're just using Crystal Benchmark to start here. Obviously the speeds are good. We'll get the results at the end there, but we can just check in on the temperatures here at the beginning of the run here. We're at 42 degrees, so obviously very good. And you can see there it's, you know, writing to the disk, obviously. It gives us our speeds in that, but mainly what I want to show here is that the temperatures are quite good, sitting at slightly over 40 degrees here. So we'll come back with the results here. I'm also going to run some Atto disk benchmark as well, which is going to give us some other results and also blast it a little bit more. And we'll just, okay, here we are running through, I think it's just about done, the Atto benchmark here. You can see here we're getting 5,000-ish megabytes a second transfers for writes. Almost 7,000 on reads, so exactly as anticipated, very fast. Temperatures here during that whole test, I just did them back to back. Looks like we're hitting 46. Our peak was 51 like ever, basically, which is actually quite good. So the last test here, I mean, so far looking great. The last thing I'm going to do here is real world transfer. So let's get some files and we'll move them and I'll check back in once we're partway through and just kind of see how real world transfers go. Moving some files in real life. The drive that we're reading from isn't very fast, but it's fine. It's still an NVMe. These speeds are probably real world speeds. You can see I'm moving, you know, all kinds of different game files in that. But what I'm really looking for here is to see if this tanks. Right, that would mean that we were basically running out of cache, a write cache. So if this drops down to 0 and just kind of sits there, that's a write cache. If it drops down momentarily and goes back up, that's probably just a file. See, went back up. So we'll do this a few times and see if we can deplete the cache on this NVMe. Okay, and here we go. We're not tanking here. We're writing all the way through. I don't know how many gigabytes this was, 60, 70, 80. And other than, you know, larger files, once we got to the smaller files, it was fine. So the real world writes are good. This is probably a limitation more of the reading drive. But I mean, we can even do this again, right? We can come in here, we can do this again. just write it again, write it again, write it again. And we'll write, I suppose. Come down here, and you can see the temperatures are still fine, 53 degrees. This is after benchmark after benchmark. We've been writing, 158 gigabytes or more, probably about 160, 170. I've done that once. This is the second time we're doing it with the same basic results here, no drop down in cache. So, there you go. That's the writing on the wall for the Timetec SSD. If you can see it in the system there, doing its thing live. There it is. It's doing its thing. So it's actually a really good drive. I wasn't surprised beforehand. Before I tested out this RAM, I mentioned, I didn't really know too much about the brand. I had seen them on Amazon. They were always on Amazon for good prices. And people gave them good reviews, but I just hadn't tried them. So I decided to pick up that RAM. Very good. That was my purchase. And then they sent over this NVMe, and it's really good. So this is actually going to live in that system there. This NVMe right here. Very happy with it, to be honest. So this is just going to hang out in my system. So the Timetec drive is good to go. I don't know about long-term writes and things like that. If 3 years down the road, if the drive fails or something like that, maybe I can come back to this video and post it in the comments. But so far, so good. The RAM uses real branded chips. The NVMe, same idea. So, we have a good drive here. If you're looking for a good NVMe with the prices going up these days, NVMe prices are really, really high right now. If you're looking to save yourself some money, but still get a really good NVMe, this is probably quite a good option.